I climbed out of the shower and toweled off. See any stray hairs I might have missed? I asked. Gina looked over my naked body and then ran her fingers down my chest to my waist. Looks good to me. Aren't you glad we had you shave all that hair off? Absolutely, I agreed. I looked her over. She was putting on makeup standing there in just a bra and panties. I also like that you are wearing sexier underwear. I traced along the lace front of the panty. Stop. She slapped my hand away. We'll be late for work. Again. But you were in such a great mood that whole day, I objected. She put down the brush she was using and turned to face me. Her arms wrapped around my neck. Yes, I was, and I am in a better mood a lot this past 2 weeks since you've moved in. But I don't want to ruin that mood by showing up late. Now, get dressed and let's get to work. Okay. I kissed her and grabbed her butt and pulled her close. The lace in the panty felt good against me. I walked away and got dressed for work. She pulled on a long blue dress that reached the floor, fixed her hair. You know we are heading out on vacation with Haley right after work and you can't be acting like that while we are away, she explained. Unless you want to change things from how they were back at the beach. Haley isn't going to be comfortable if we are having sex all the time. I know, she's asked me at least a dozen times if we really want her to come on this vacation. Okay, I conceded, I'll behave. I know, you are a great guy, Gina grinned. And believe me, I am going to miss you as much as I possibly could. Well, you need to move along so I can finish getting ready and we can get out of here, I told her. I watched as she tossed the remaining things she would need into a case before turning to walk out. The dress flowed behind her. I hate to see her go, but I love to watch her leave. As she left the room, the bright light from the other room allowed me a glimpse of her legs moving beneath the dress. God, I loved that. I turned to the mirror and went to work getting ready. One extra task that I just added this past week, I turned the studs in my earlobes. They had healed up nicely and I was looking forward to being able to get some new earrings. Gina had promised me we'd go shopping one day while on vacation, probably shop a couple times. We had all agreed to have another formal dinner and we'd go dress shopping together again. It was so much fun last time. It was hard to believe it has been 6 months since that weekend at the coast. I couldn't believe I went from never having worn any girl stuff to dressed in a cocktail dress with all the fixings including makeup in less than 36 hours, not to mention the nightgowns. I hope we find a shop with someone as nice as Sheila this time. If it hadn't been for her, I wonder if I could have gone through with it and bought that great dress. I got dressed for work, checked to be sure my toiletries were in the case, closed it up and carried it to the car. Gina locked up while I stowed the case in the trunk. I still think we could have taken my car this time, I told her as we drove off in her car. 1, the back seat isn't that big, it is a long drive and Haley wouldn't be that comfortable, Gina explained for the 3rd time, I just miss driving my car. 2, the trunk isn't big enough for all our stuff, plus Haley's, and then there will be 3 semi-formal or formal dresses and God knows what else that will have to fit back there. I know, you're right. I sighed. Are you getting tired of telling me that yet? Gina teased. I was right about getting your ears pierced too. I know. I nodded. I wanted it too, but I wasn't sure how the people at work were going to react to it. Plus, I've stopped getting my hair cut, so between the 2 things I was afraid I'd catch a lot of crap. But nobody has really said anything. People know you've moved in with me too, she pointed out. That might have offset anything that some might have said. Besides, we work with a pretty liberal, most anything goes, kind of crowd. I just don't think you should be trying any chandelier earrings at work. That might be pressing the issue some. Got it, I laughed. That afternoon I went down and got Gina and Haley to go for a short walk. We skipped going to lunch, opting to eat at our desks in hopes of getting out a little early. So, how's the day looking for you two? I asked as soon as we got outside. I should be able to head out a little after 4 if you can. Maybe closer to 4:30, Gina answered. If we get back and I push a bit, I might make it earlier. Are you two really sure you want me tagging along? Haley put in. I don't want to be in the way. Not again. Gina sighed. I know we both want you there, I assured her. I want a girls' trip, and if you aren't there, well, with Gina and I in our relationship it would be a nice vacation but not really a girls' getaway. We need you for that. Okay, Haley answered. I really do want to go. I just want to be sure. Besides, Gina told me you still wear your nightgowns sometimes. She did. I looked over at Gina. Girls talk, I thought you figured that out already, Gina replied. Hey, it's okay, Haley went on. I like that you've really embraced it. Oh, I think he has embraced it even more than what I've told you, Gina jumped in. He has a bag that he packed that I wasn't allowed to look in. I don't know what he has going on. Really? Haley grinned. I like surprises. We walked back and Gina went inside while I got Haley's bags from her car and moved them to Gina's. You aren't just saying you want me there because Gina wants me there, are you? Haley pressed. No. I held her by both arms and stared down directly into her eyes. We both want you there. We want to have a great vacation that is 4 times better than the weekend at the coast. Just 4 times better? She giggled. Well, I thought it was 2 days before and this will be 8 days, I explained. Too logical, she laughed. We walked back into the building. It was almost 10 o'clock when we pulled up to the cabin that was to be our home until the following Saturday. It was in the woods, there were other cabins around, but you would have to walk a bit before you came across one. Once again, I was hauling groceries we got from the nearby market into the kitchen for the girls to put away, then I would drag in all the luggage. I put all of Haley's stuff in the second bedroom, which had a queen bed. Gina and I took the main bedroom, which once again featured a huge king. I unpacked our stuff, hanging up some things and finding drawers for the rest. Once I was done, I stripped off my clothes, grabbed a pair of black panties and the black nightgown the girls gave me on the last trip and went back out to join the girls. You aren't wasting any time. Haley grinned at me. I unpacked our things, I told them. I didn't think you'd want me going through your stuff, so I just stowed your bags in your room. Thanks. She started toward the bedroom. Better this way so I know where everything is. I walked over to Gina. You going to get changed? Get comfortable? Get the girls' getaway officially started? I'll uncork a bottle and pour us all a glass. Sounds good. She wrapped her arms around me, laying them on my butt. Probably only going to be one tonight. I'm pretty beat after work and the drive. Agreed. Now go get out of that dress and into a nightgown. I kissed her. She looked around before she let go of me to be sure we were still alone. Listen, she whispered, I don't want Haley to feel left out, and I don't want you to stop kissing me, but it won't bother me if you give her a kiss goodnight, or, you can just feel it when she might need a little extra attention. I don't mean you kiss her like you do me, but if you remember those kisses from before, like that. How could I forget? I kissed her to demonstrate. That was the moment I knew you were the one for me. Fine. She pushed away from me. Pour the wine, I'll be back in a minute. I searched some drawers until I found the corkscrew, an important tool for this week. I was working the cork out when Haley returned. She was wearing a different nightgown from that other weekend. This one was light blue. It had ruffles at the top of the arms and at the bottom which barely reached her thigh. The neck came down to well above her breasts, showing a minimum of her generous cleavage. Hey. I tried to sound calm and collected, but my voice cracked. I cleared my throat and tried again. Want a glass? The cork gave a satisfying pop as it came free. Of course. She came to stand beside me. Instinctively I put my arm around her and picked up the bottle to pour. Once the first glass was full, she took it and I leaned down and gave her a kiss. Longer than casual, less than lovers. She kissed me back the same. Wait. Haley moved away, taking her wine. What would Gina say now? I'd probably say I just spotted my boyfriend giving his best friend a nice kiss, Gina answered, entering the room. This time she went with a shorter nightgown. It was purple, still silky, and almost reached her knees. Since I trust my boyfriend and my best friend, I would only worry that my wine glass wasn't getting filled fast enough. Oops, I chuckled and filled the second glass. I slid it over to the edge of the table where she retrieved it. As I filled my glass, the girls moved to take their seats in the living room. Like the last place, there were sliders to a porch, only there were woods beyond, and being up in the mountains meant the evening was chilly. I joined Gina on the couch. So, I have to ask, Haley began the conversation. How do you feel about having a boyfriend that likes to dress up in things you wear? Dresses? Nightgowns? Lacy lingerie? It wasn't something I ever thought I would want, Gina explained. I mean, Dan is a great guy and I would have gone out with him before we had that weekend if he had asked just to see if we could have a thing, you know? Because I believed, even then, that we could get past any issues if it didn't work and still be friends. But the way it happened, with us getting him dressed up and all, when we started going out it was normal. First couple times we spent the night together was like any normal couple starting out. Then, one night, Dan told me he liked wearing his nightgown to bed sometimes. My wine glass was already almost empty now. I was drinking quickly while she was explaining. I don't know why I was so concerned with Haley's reaction. She was there at the beginning, had a big part in all of it. Could she have thought I would just drop it? I drained the glass and went to pour another. I suggested that the next time we spent the night together that we wear our nightgowns to bed. She continued as I came back to the couch. Explains why he moves so well now, Haley interjected. It looks natural the way he adjusts his nightgown as he sits and all. Yes. Gina laid her hand on my leg and fingered the lace that exposed the section of my thigh. Oddly enough, I was nervous that night. We had made love several times already, but suddenly I was unsure of how to proceed. He started touching me over my nightgown and I followed his lead. I started getting so turned on. Next thing I know I am trying to get all this fabric out of the way. She grabbed a handful of my nightgown and lifted to get to his dick. Have you ever felt a dick through satin? Or lace? Can't say that I have, Haley answered. Well, I'm not offering, but if you get a chance, take it. Haley traced her fingers up my leg. It felt nice to me and drove him crazy. We fought to get the nightgowns out of the way to get at each other. Now, I don't want that every time. Sometimes I want Dan to be all man. That isn't really him because even without and feminine trappings, he is still so gentle. That why the short nightgown this time? Haley smiled. Less to fight out of the way. No, just wanted something short tonight, Gina explained. I brought 2 others with me since we'd be here a week. So did I added. Both girls looked at me. Hey, I am going for a girls' getaway, I went on. Sorry, not going to be all man this week. Well, I plan on sleeping in my own bed this week, Haley spoke. You two can do whatever you like. If that is what you want, Gina told her. I nodded. No pressure to do anything you don't want to do. I told you, and Dan promised me, he'd behave this week. He is going to behave? Haley chuckled. From that description it sounds like you might be the one who should be making promises. Fine, Gina snickered. I promise to behave as well. Haley carefully extracted herself from the chair holding her nightgown to prevent exposing more than she intended. She poured some wine into her glass, came over to us and added more to Gina's glass and a bit more to mine. Is anyone going to want more tonight? Gina and I both said we were done after that glass, so she tossed the bottle in the trash and came back to sit with us. We talked a bit more about what was around. There were hiking trails, a lake not too far away, town was a short drive. Other things in the area for sightseeing if we wanted to take a drive. It would be a fun week. That's it. Gina stood up. I'm off to bed. Tomorrow morning, whenever we get up? That's the standing plan unless we make plans to do something, Haley answered. I stood up and followed the girls down the hall. Haley turned into her room and pushed the door closed, uttering, "Good night," as she did. We answered, "Good night," and went to our room, closing the door. Perhaps she'll get more comfortable as the week wears on, Gina opined. I don't think that sex story of that night helped though. Probably not. I pulled the covers back and slipped into the bed in a practiced fashion that left no doubt I was accustomed to wearing a long nightgown. I held the covers and waited for Gina to join me. She climbed in, pulled the covers over and snuggled up next to me. I really am exhausted, been a long day. I know, me too, I admitted. It was nice being able to give her bottom a squeeze though, something I didn't do during the last girls' getaway. What do you think we'll do tomorrow? She asked. Before I could answer there was a soft knock on the door. Come on in, Haley, I called. Hey, am I interrupting anything? She peeked in the door. Gina just asked what we might be doing tomorrow, I told her. Have you changed your mind about sleeping alone? Maybe. She stepped into the room. I'm just laying there thinking about last time and feeling lonely. Well, you know where to climb in, Gina told her. She came to the other side of the bed and slipped under the covers. She snuggled up to my other side, laid her head on my shoulder and reached across and gave Gina a squeeze. Thanks. I told you that you were welcome to join us from the beginning, Gina explained. Her hand slipped down my nightgown, and I can tell you that Dan doesn't mind in the least. What did you do? His heartbeat jumped, she wondered. Just checking the status of things, she giggled. Okay, got it, don't need to know more. Haley laughed. I gave them both a squeeze. Okay, so how about tomorrow? I think I'd like a day of nothing, unless we get bored and decide we need to do something, Haley offered, like take a walk or something. That sounds like a plan to me, Gina agreed. Tomorrow is supposed to be really nice. I checked the weather, and it looks like a cold front is coming in early in the week, so if we want to do any real warm weather stuff, tomorrow will be best, maybe Sunday too. After that just cooler, maybe sweater weather. Good, I wanted to get some sun, maybe lay out on the deck for a bit, Haley told us. Sounds like a plan, Gina agreed. Works for me, I added my approval. Good night, I'm going to be asleep in a very short time. I turned and gave Haley a kiss, then Gina got a better kiss. I fell asleep before I heard either of them drop off. Saturday. I woke the next morning and found myself snuggled up against Haley. She was sleeping on her stomach again and I had my arm around her waist. I looked back over my shoulder and the bed was empty. I tried to slip away without disturbing Haley, but my nightgown wouldn't move. I lifted the covers and saw that Haley was lying on top of the skirt trapping my legs. I also saw her bare bottom as her own little nightgown had rode up. The top of a blue thing was visible above her but disappearing in between her cheeks. I let the covers back down and tried to gently pull away. She raised up a bit, letting me free, and pulled her nightgown back down, all without waking up, which I was grateful for. I slipped off the side of the bed, left the room closing the door behind me. I found Gina in the living room sipping her morning coffee and reading a book. Good morning, she spoke just above a whisper. Haley still snoozing? Yeah, I grabbed a bite for breakfast and a glass of milk. Never had developed a taste for coffee. She's sleeping pretty hard. I had to pull my nightgown from under her and she didn't even wake. You were sleeping pretty good yourself, she told me. I had to move your arm off me to get up and you just flopped over and snuggled up to Haley. It was kind of sweet. You are pretty amazing. I sat beside you and gave her a peck. I can't believe many women would leave their boyfriend alone in bed with a beautiful woman. Even inviting her into our bed is beyond a lot of folks. It's like I said last night, I trust you both, she answered. She closed the book and laid it down. Actually, I think it is more than that now. When I was younger, in my 20s and 30s, I was jealous of any other woman my boyfriend, or my ex-husband, would even look at. I was miserable thinking they wanted someone else over me. I think a lot of why I am so comfortable is because we were all friends together first, we all shared a bed before you and I started dating, and because you asked me out while we were all together. I think even if something happened between you two, I wouldn't be that upset. Haley is feeling lonely, she hasn't been as lucky as we have. That is why I told you that you ought to give her a kiss if you feel she might need one. Mind you, That isn't a license to just go jump back into bed with her. I don't want that. Just saying I wouldn't freak out about it. I sat there trying to digest what I just heard. The image of Haley's bare ass flashed in my mind. I wondered what sort of situation could arise that I would do that and decided I didn't want to find out. Gina is the one I love. I know she is the one for me. I appreciate that. I love Haley, as I've told you both before, but I have no plans to climb into bed with her other than to be sleeping. I'm glad to hear that. Gina hugged my arm. Now, why don't you go shower and brush your teeth so I can give you a decent good morning kiss? I got up and headed for the shower. The master bath where all my stuff was off the bedroom of course, so I crept in and picked out some fresh panties, a t-shirt and shorts. I stepped into the bathroom and closed the door. Once I was freshened up, I eased the door open and left the bathroom. The bed was empty. I tossed yesterday's panties into the bag Gina had designated as dirty laundry, hung the nightgown up. Then I changed my mind. I dug out the extra bag I had brought and decided to hang up the extra skirts and a dress I had brought along. Gina hadn't seen them yet. I had bought them before I moved in and had kept them hidden, not sure how she would take me wearing things like that so often. Then I decided to wait for this week when I realized she wouldn't mind and even enjoyed it. I thought I might wear something for dinner before we put on our nightgowns for the evening, but why wait? I knew Gina had packed a couple skirts that she likes lounging around in during the day. Why not me too? It was a girl's getaway. I peeled off my shorts and put them back in the drawer. I thought about changing panties. The ones I was wearing were a gold hue, sheer except some thin gold stripes that ran horizontal. There was enough of a gap between them that one could see almost everything. I decided I'd just have to be careful because I knew I wanted to wear the denim miniskirt. I went back to the closet and pulled it on. I walked back to the kitchen, got another glass of milk. Oh, my, Haley spoke first. Not waiting to go dress shopping this time? This is just casual, I told her. I gave Gina a proper kiss good morning. And where did that come from? I haven't seen it before, she asked. I carefully sat on the couch with her holding my skirt to make sure it didn't ride up. It was already short. I bought them a couple months ago. Them? Gina asked. Yeah, I have a few things that I brought for casual hanging out, I explained. That was my mystery bag. I decided to surprise you both by just showing up like I did. I know how you both like surprises. Okay, works for me. Gina placed her hand on my bare leg just below the hem of my skirt. They would have made note of my heartbeat if we were in bed. Girls getaway, Haley answered. I'd tell you to put on a bra with your breasts, but we have a no bra required mandate. In the meantime, I am going to shower off yesterday's grime, put on a bathing suit and catch some sun before the weather turns. Okay, after you are done, I'll take my turn, Gina told her. Haley headed off down the hall to her room and bathroom. You know there are 2 bathrooms here, you could go now, I pointed out. No. She shook her head. I'd like to hear more about these skirts and dresses. Well, just one dress, at least so far, I explained. And 3 other skirts. I started experimenting with different things, wanting to see what it was like to wear them. When I realized you wouldn't mind, I decided to bring them. Surprise! Your legs are too good for a guy. She stroked my thigh. And that skirt is shorter than anything I wear. It'll be fun watching you moving around today. Unless you plan on just ignoring you are in a skirt and giving us a show? Not at all, I answered. Maybe you get a taste of what I see when I'm around you and you are wearing a dress or skirt. Only I won't have work to distract me. Ha ha. She slapped my leg. We'll see. She picked up her book again. I went and got mine. A short time later Haley came through clad in a red and white one-piece, though there wasn't a lot of material to this particular suit. The leg holes went up above her hip and the back dipped down to just above her but which was covered by little more than the thong I had seen earlier. The top part looped around her arms but the parts that covered her breasts plunged almost to her belly button. How do you swim in that without falling out? I had to ask. I don't, she explained as she got a large glass of water. This is for sitting by the side of the pool, or wherever, to catch some sun. Could step into the water to cool off if I wanted. Well, I guess I'll go get cleaned up and put on my suit, though I don't think I'll make as big a splash as that one. Gina got up. I think you'll look great, I told her. Well, I bought a new bikini because I know you'll think so, she grinned at me, surprise. I sat in the living room reading another chapter and decided it wouldn't hurt to get some sun on my legs. I stepped out onto the deck and saw Haley lying on her stomach. The shoulder straps were pushed down, leaving her back bare, on a lounge that she had laid flat. Hey, she said without moving, this sun is warmer than I thought. Would you mind putting some lotion on my back for me? No problem at all. I tossed my book over on another lounge, there were 4 in all. I stooped down, bending at the knees to pick up the bottle of sun lotion from the floor, and sat on the edge of her lounge, being careful to keep my knees together. I poured some of the liquid into the palm of my hand and began at her shoulders, working it into her skin. I had done both her arms and gotten down to the small of her back when Gina walked out the door. She had on a yellow bikini, the bra had a ruffle that hung a bit over the cups, the bottom had a similar ruffle at the waistband. I stopped and stared. There is something about a beautiful woman when she is wearing just a little bit, sexier than if she were totally naked, I think. That is what makes lingerie so appealing, and panties like the ones I had on under the skirt. That looks like a good idea. She smiled at me. After you pick up your chin and finish with her, you can do me as well. Don't forget to do her legs too. She moved to the third lounge, laid the back down flat, and lay on her stomach. I watched as she undid the bra and let it fall loose to the sides. Better finish up so you can go take care of her. Haley prompted me to get moving again. Right, I quickly started again. After I finished everything above the bathing suit, I moved to her feet and worked my way up her legs. I felt odd as I worked the lotion into her thighs, and I did her butt cheeks that were exposed as well. Neither girl said anything. Haley didn't seem to mind and moved to accommodate what I needed to reach. Okay, next. I stood but was having a little trouble with my skirt. I tried to ignore the bump in it, but it made the skirt stick out some. I couldn't ignore how the panties felt on me either. I sat beside Gina and started again at the top of her shoulders. Haley turned her head to watch us. I did an even more thorough job making sure I got every inch, even reaching under the edge of the bottom of the bikini. I might have given her a bit of a rub as I did her thighs as well. She didn't give away anything. I picked up the lotion and moved to my own lounge. I applied it to both my legs and arms. Then decided I'd pull off my t-shirt and applied to my chest. He's pretty good about working that skirt, Haley said. I didn't see anything, you? Gina answered. Nope, she closed her eyes. Pity. Gina snickered. After a while Gina asked, could you hand me that lotion again? Sure, I picked it up. You want me to put it on you somewhere? No, I can do this one myself. She sat up, pulled the back of the lounge into a sitting position, dropped the bra onto the deck and laid back. I stared and handed her the lotion. Thanks. She squirted some out and began applying it to her breasts and stomach. This isn't the beach, nobody should be walking by in the woods. You mind? Haley asked. Not at all, just the girls here, Gina answered. Great, when you are finished, send the lotion over. Haley flipped over, rearranged things and leaned back. I was really flustered. Give this to Haley, I'm sure she can do this herself. Gina handed me the lotion. Sure. I passed it over. I tried not to watch her spread the lotion over her body, but it just wasn't possible. I think you need to get some sun on your back, Gina pointed out. She got up from her lounge, walked around me to Haley, got the lotion and had me change everything up so I was on my stomach. She took care of my back and was working along the waistband of my skirt. Why don't you just take your skirt off? What? I stuttered. But the panties I have on. She reached down and lifted the hem of my skirt and just looked up. Pretty. Look, between the nightgowns we've worn, running around without bras on, I didn't think it would matter any longer if we were panties only at this point, or bathing suit bottoms in this case. Yes, Haley has beautiful tits, but I am proud of my body too and I don't need to feel ashamed. Are you kidding? Haley added. I hope I am still in as great a shape as you are when I am your age. You look amazing and I know you get lots of looks from guys when you walk by. You got me, I added. You saw my reaction to you in that suit even before you ditched the top. Thanks, she stroked my hair. I am just making this more of a girl's getaway and dressing up and sometimes dressing down is part of it, just depends on the group of girls. Take off your skirt, just don't turn toward Haley when you get up. Maybe she wants to see it, maybe she doesn't, but I don't think you should just go waving it about. I looked over at Haley who just grinned at me. So I lifted up a bit, undid the zipper and button and pushed my skirt down. Gina grabbed it and pulled it off me. She dropped it on the floor between our two lounges. You are going to need some lotion here. Gina slapped my butt. Those are pretty panties, Haley pointed out. You want to do the honors? Gina asked. He gave you but a good rub, you could return the favor. No, that's fine, she giggled, you're already there. Gina turned back and pulled my panties down. She proceeded to apply the lotion to my bottom and the tops of my thighs and gave my balls a bit of a rub as well. Then she pulled my panties back up and went back to her seat. And just so you know, Gina said as she picked up her book again, it was driving me crazy not being able to look up your skirt. I can understand why you looked up mine before. Good, I answered. And I'm glad you've expanded your panty collection to make it more interesting. Haley snickered. We all sunned in silence for a while longer until Haley decided she was done. I watched as she slipped her arms back into the top of her suit and pulled it back up. She adjusted her breasts, then got up and walked back inside. Anyone want some lunch? She called. I turned to look back at Gina. Sounds good to me. Yeah, it does, she agreed. Yes, we'll be right in. She reached down and picked up the bra and slipped it back on. Really? I asked and picked up my skirt. I mean, I know I need to put this skirt on, but why the top now? Seriously? She asked. Are you planning on leaving your shirt off while we eat? That just seems wrong to me. A little decorum is still expected during meals. That makes sense. I stood up and pulled my skirt on. Then I grabbed my shirt and pulled it on. We went back into the house. Haley finished putting together the sandwiches and passed them to us as we took seats at the table. I think I am going to be a little bored, Haley told us. Might be nice to take a walk, maybe head down to the lake and see what that looks like. Okay, Gina agreed. I'm in. I'll go too, I answered. So, you going to change or walk with us in your skirt? Haley pressed. Well, my first instinct was to change and put shorts on. No reason to be out in public in a skirt. Then I started thinking about why not. What are the chances of running into someone out here? It was off-season and likely very few around. Are you two going in your bathing suits? No, Haley immediately answered. I'm going to put something else on, maybe just a skirt to cover my ass. I'm definitely putting something on over this, Gina added. I have a mini dress that I can pull over. But what has that to do with what you are going to do? Well, nothing really, I confessed. I was stalling for time trying to decide. If you are thinking you might, that why not just go ahead and do it? Haley asked. I think you want to, you're just a bit afraid. Well, yeah, I am, I admitted. What if someone doesn't like me walking around in a skirt? Yes, there are jerks out there, Gina pointed out. Most of them might say something stupid to you. Ignore them. Most people overall will just look at you funny and walk away. If we come across the worst kind, Haley will kick their asses. We all burst out laughing and before I knew it, I had agreed that I wouldn't change. I cleaned up the dishes while the girls went and got things to wear over their suits. Haley returned wearing a red, gauzy skirt that reached her knees. Gina had a yellow sundress on that was almost as short as my skirt. That's pretty well color coordinated with your suits, I observed. Careful planning, Gina answered. Let's go. I checked the slider to be sure it was locked, then locked the front door when we left. I felt a strange feeling of excitement and fear. I tried to assess the feelings of wearing a skirt outside. I felt oddly exposed and covered at the same time. I could feel the panties I wore more than the skirt, but I was aware of the skirt as it tapped against my thighs with every step. I wondered if the girls felt the same things, or were they so accustomed to being in a dress or a skirt that they just didn't notice anymore. We strolled along a dirt path through the woods weaving through the trees. We saw a few squirrels, a chipmunk and some birds darting through the branches. We crossed a little black tar road and continued down the path. We turned one corner and a woman with a little girl was coming the other way. I swallowed hard, held my breath, and just kept walking pretending everything was normal. We moved to the right side of the trail and passed single file as they did likewise on the other side. "Mom, why is that man in a dress?" I heard a little voice ask. "Hush," the mother answered. "I don't know. Just keep walking." Once we were sure they were out of range, Gina laughed. "The little girl was certainly curious about you, Dan, but the woman barely glanced at your legs. She was definitely giving Haley's boobs the evil eye." "I can't help how I look," Haley huffed. "What does she expect? I'm going to wear turtleneck sweaters and long pants." "I love how you look," I assured her. "I love how you both look. No reason for anyone to be jealous, or envious or whatever." Now me, on the other hand. I let it trail off. "If she could have seen you in that black dress, she would be so jealous," Haley assured me. "Not to mention how cute your butt looks in those sexy panties," Gina added. "Oh, yeah, that too," Haley nodded. "Thank you both." We walked down toward the water. There weren't many places around the lake that looked developed. Mostly trees that were close to the water. There were a few boats and I wondered if we might find a place to rent one for a day, bonus if it were a sailboat. I love sailing but haven't done it in years. We hung out, tossed some pebbles out into the water, slipped off our shoes and waited out a bit. Finally, we had enough and decided to head back to the house. We followed another trail which led us in a bigger circle out through the woods. We didn't come across any other travelers and eventually got back to the cabin. We played some card games for a while, then set to making dinner. We sat, ate, talked, and of course we drank. When we finished, we decided on the traditional backgammon tournament to decide on dish duty and wine wench. We also decided to rotate it each night rather than playing for it all the time. In the end it was my night for dishes, Haley was wine wench again and Gina got to go put on her nightgown. Tomorrow I'd be wine wench. Haley opened a bottle, filled the glasses and went to change as well. I was just finishing up and drying off my hands when I turned and saw Haley and Gina, in the same nightgowns as the previous night, standing there together watching me. "What are you two up to?" I asked as I tossed the towel over on the counter. "We were watching your butt," Haley answered with a grin. "I never realized how much a skirt accentuates the wiggle in your butt when you are doing things," Gina added with her own evil smile. "It's really cute. I might have to have you do the dishes more often while wearing that skirt." "I'm not doing the dishes every night," I protested. "And I have other things to wear besides the skirt. Now, if you don't mind, I am going to go put on a nightgown." The girls both giggled and as I started to pass them, they stopped me and each gave me a kiss. "You are such a great guy," Haley told me. "Yes, he is." Gina swatted me lightly on the butt as she pushed me toward the bedroom. I closed the door, pulled off my shirt, tossing it toward the dirty laundry. I unzipped my skirt, and it followed the shirt. I decided against the black nightgown again, and I didn't bring the other one from the last trip. I selected a white, silky one. I had spent $85 on it, but it was worth it. Spaghetti straps, loose fit with AV cleavage. It fell to my knees. A silvery pattern of vines and leaves shimmered in the light when I moved. It felt even better than it looked. I went back to the living room feeling the cool fabric slip between my legs as I walked. "Oh, my," Gina blurted when I came in. "That is gorgeous. I wonder if it would fit me. Damn, sometimes I wish you weren't so big." "You like?" I did a little pirouette, letting the gown spread out and then collapse back against me. Sit down here between us, Haley commanded. I want a good look and feel. I did as instructed, feeling a little special to have made such a good choice. As soon as I sat, both the girls began examining the nightgown, oohing and awing over it. I never felt it was worth spending that kind of money on a nightgown that nobody else would see, Gina observed. Just an extravagance, but now that I see it on you, while I might have been mistaken. That is the one thing I regret about this girl's getaway. Haley was running her fingers up my body and across my chest. I am short with big boobs, Gina is tall and slender with a great proportionate body, and Dan is 8 feet tall and though fit, bigger around than either of us. We can't share cute clothes. Because of the size differences, I hadn't really thought about it. Some things might fit a couple of us, but likely not a lot. I'd never be able to zip up one of Haley's skirts, and the ones with elastic waist, I'd be afraid I stretch them out. Same with Gina's clothes. Is that usually a thing? Of course, Gina smoothed out my nightgown on my leg and sat back. But that is where we are. We will just have to go on a little shopping trip either Monday or Tuesday just for fun. We'll save the formal for Thursday or Friday. Sounds like a good plan to me. Haley finally stopped feeling the gown and leaned back. I'm in for whatever, I answered. Especially more wine. Oh, right. Haley jumped up to get the wine. Apparently she was getting even more adjusted to being just the girls here because her nightgown rode up enough to flash her but at us. We drank and talked more until it was time to go to bed. No pretense this time, we trooped on down and climbed into the king bed together, cuddled up, kissed goodnight, and went to sleep. Sunday. I woke the next morning to the sound of rain pattering the roof. I was cuddled up against Gina. I could feel Haley behind me, her arm wrapped over my waist. It felt cooler in the room to my nose, but hard to tell between the two warm bodies. I slipped my hand down Gina's body and found bare skin. Her nightgown had ridden up some, so I let my fingers wander about. She didn't wear panties under her nightgown regardless of how short they might be. Are we alone? Gina murmured. No, I whispered back. Do you want to be? Haley spoke from behind me. I drew my hand back from where it was playing and pulled Gina's nightgown down in case the covers got pulled back. No, not at all, I told her. Good, because I am feeling really cozy right now. She snuggled even tighter to me. Is it raining? Looks like it, Gina answered. I didn't think it was supposed to start until tonight. So, sounds like a day of games, movies, junk food and wine, I offered. Sounds good to me, Gina answered. Any reason to get dressed? We can just hang out in our night clothes for all I care. Well, Haley came back. Actually, I do want to see something. I want Dan to put on the dress he brought. I want to see what he chose without having direction from us as to what to buy. Yeah, I think I'd like to see that too. Gina rolled onto her back to look at me. Do you mind? I guess not, answered. I was thinking I'd take a shower and then just put my nightgown back on, but I can put my dress on and show you. That sounds good to me, Gina answered. Go on, climb on over. We'll go get some breakfast in a minute. Okay, I slid over the top of Gina and out from under the covers. I stopped at the drawer and grabbed a clean pair of panties and headed for the shower. I slipped the panties on after drying off. These were black bikini style with a wide black lace waistband. The panty also had large white flowers on them. I liked that my panties seemed to have so much personality. Seemed odd to think of, but they just felt happy to me. I left the bathroom and tossed my nightgown and used panties over to the laundry when I realized Gina and Haley were still lying together in the bed. Haley had her head resting on Gina's shoulder. Oh! I turned away, trying to hide the bulge in the front of my panties. I thought you were going to the kitchen. So did we, Haley answered, but it was just too comfy to get up. So, go ahead and get your dress on, let's see it. Flustered, I turned to the closet. The door prevented them from seeing me while I pulled the dress from its hanger and down over my head. I liked it the moment I saw it. There was a strap over each shoulder, but the front and back came up to within a couple inches of my neck where it cut straight across. The body fit tight to the waist, and then the skirt was full and reached down to just above my knees. The dress was all black except at the hem that had a pink stripe about 4 inches wide all around. It didn't have a zipper or any kind of closure since it was stretchy, which was another feature I liked. I stepped around the door to show them. "Oh, that is cute," Haley praised my choice. "Yeah, it is, and it fits you really well," Gina added. "And the best part?" I reached into the sides of the skirt. "Pockets!" They both laughed. "Okay," Gina slipped her arm out from under Haley and got out of bed. "That dress might actually fit me. Let me try it on." She pulled off her nightgown and stood there naked with her hand out waiting on me to give her my dress. I pulled the dress up over my head and handed it over. She pulled it on and adjusted it. "I like it. It is comfortable. I definitely could go a few sizes smaller, but I could wear it in a pinch." She moved to the mirror and examined herself. "You have anything you think I could wear?" I asked. "Not this time, baby." She pulled the dress off and handed it back to me. "Wait," Haley called. "Put on your bra and breasts. I want to see you in it in full girl mode now that I've seen it on Gina." "Well, the straps aren't wide enough to cover the bra straps," I pointed out. "That's okay, lots of girls wear it that way anyway," Haley told me. Gina had put her nightgown back on and climbed back into bed with Haley. "It's chilly this morning." Gina slipped over close to Haley. "Not from what I can see in his panties," Haley snickered. "But your nipples feel hard as rocks. You're poking me pretty good." "Sorry, but you try standing naked out there now," Gina protested. "Maybe next time," Haley told her. By this time, I was slipping the dress back down onto my body. "Oh, that looks great." "I knew it would," Haley praised me. "We'll need to get you some strapless bras or bustier or something you can wear under it. Chilly as it is, you could wear tights or pantyhose to keep your legs warm." I tried pantyhose once. I sat on the edge of the bed. I liked the way my legs felt, but it changed the way the dress feels. "I like bare legs better. We suffer for our fashion." Gina sighed. "I've changed my mind again," Haley spoke. "I have a dress I can throw on today. I think Mani Pedis would be fun. Let's get dressed and do each other's nails. Dance first." "Okay, sounds like fun." Gina extracted herself from the bed again. "I am going to shower first." She went to the dresser, gathered some things, then took off her nightgown and went off to the bathroom. "Guess she decided it really doesn't matter any longer." Haley shrugged. She got out of the bed and went to her room. I made the bed up and then started for the living room. Haley's door was open, and she was coming toward me wearing just a white thong. "Well, you have already seen them." She stepped into the bathroom. "I mean, those panties may not be see-through, but they really didn't hide much." She closed the door. A short time later, Haley was sitting on a chair holding one of my feet, the other was soaking in a basin. She was in an orange tank dress that was skin-tight to just above her ankles. Gina had one hand while the other soaked in a bowl. She wore a black dress with white polka dots and short sleeves that tied off with bows. It was almost knee-length and buttoned all the way down. They were both messing with my nails, filing and things. It felt nice to be pampered this way. "So, you seem to like a lot of different styles of panties," Haley started the next topic as she examined my toes. "Haven't found something you like? Or just like them all?" "Oh, well, remember, 6 months ago I hadn't ever worn any, and I don't get to that often," I explained. "So, I got different types to see what I liked. I still haven't settled on any particular style though, so I guess you were right there." Haley shook a bottle, then pulled the top off with a brush and began painting on a coat of pink. "Wait! What are you doing?" I panicked. "Painting your toenails," she stated like it was something that got done every day. "This color matches the stripe in your dress. It will look so cute. And after Gina does your fingernails, I have a bracelet and earrings you can borrow. You will look great." I looked over at Gina, but she just kept working. I leaned back and let it happen. Haley finished and told me I needed to let them dry for a few minutes. Then she went off to her room. When she returned, she came to me and began removing the studs from my ears and replacing them with a black onyx earring that dangled just a little. It felt strange to feel them pulling my earlobes when I moved my head, and I could hear them rattle a little. Then she fastened a bracelet on my left wrist that went with the earrings. Okay, don't move. Gina got up and left. When she returned, she had her makeup kit. Once again the girls went to work on my face trying to transform me into a proper-looking lady. When they finished, they took me back to a mirror in our bedroom and let me see the finished work. Pink lipstick and pink in the eyeshadow was noticeable, but otherwise they had managed to transform my face as they had before. Since my hair was longer this time, they filled it with gel again but went with a spiky sort of do. I was amazed at their talent. Who's next? I asked. Me. Haley turned and trotted back to the living room. I don't know what it is about seeing you like this, Gina whispered as she grabbed my butt, but it just makes me want you even more. What could I say? I kissed her, but before it got too crazy, she stopped me. You're going to smudge your lipstick. She wiped a bit at the corner of my mouth. I'm soaking, Haley called from the other room. We're coming, I answered. That was quick, Haley called back. Dan, you should really take your time. We went back and I sat on the couch beside Haley. Gina took the chair near her feet. They were good about instructing me on what to do and I managed a decent job on her fingernails. She wanted a red that was only a shade or two darker than pink and I carefully applied it. When we finished, Haley told us she would do her own makeup after we finished with Gina. Then we all moved around so that Gina could begin soaking while Haley's nails were drying. Hey, it's already afternoon, I pointed out, and I am wine wench. Thanks to you both I really look the part. Ready? First of all, yes, Haley answered. And secondly, I always thought wenches were sort of slutty looking. You don't look slutty, quite the opposite. Agreed, pour the wine and get to work on my toes, miss. Gina lifted up one foot and wiggled her toes at me. Right away, I answered and went to work getting the wine for us all. I was still getting used to the earrings as they pulled and tapped my neck. I set the glasses down and decided I'd see how my feelings compared. I want to ask you something. Yes, I think you have a nice dick, Haley answered. That wasn't what I was going to ask about, I replied. Oh, I thought guys worried about that sort of thing, Haley giggled. It is nice, Gina added. And he uses it really well, too. I was getting totally flustered. Do you really talk like this or is this just for my benefit? To be honest? Gina put her foot in the towel in my lap. Sometimes. We talk about anything and everything, Haley told me. And I don't just mean Gina and I. Put a group of girls together and the conversation can cover good books, good music, where sales are going on, where someone bought a dress or a purse, who is sleeping with who at the office, which guy might have a dick worth sleeping with, which bitch is putting it out to whoever she can get to take it, and more. Truth, Gina nodded, women can be ruthless. I'm pretty sure I don't want to know what was being said about me before, I told them. And I probably don't want to hear if they are talking about me now. You have nothing to worry about, Haley went on. Most everyone likes you, and even before you two started dating people knew not to say anything bad about you around us. We'd chew them a new asshole. Even before? I asked. Of course. Gina switched feet. Tell me you would let anyone say anything about either of us without defending us. Of course I would have, I affirmed. And that is one reason we are all here together today, Haley answered. I continued working on Gina's nails and thought on that some. Then I moved and heard the earring rattle and it reminded me of what I wanted to ask in the first place. So I told them about how I felt in my skirt and the earrings. Do you get to where you don't notice since you grew up wearing dresses and stuff? Well, in this dress there isn't any feeling of nudity. Haley laughed. It clings to everything. But there are others that do make me feel that way, especially since my preferred panty is a thong. I agree, Gina answered. I hadn't really thought about it much, but I wear slacks a lot in the winter, and once the spring rolls around I am so happy to be wearing skirts and dresses again. As to the earrings, I get used to them and ignore it after a while. That is why you see women suddenly discover they've lost one. Subconsciously they realize they don't see or feel one. It's like background noise that you've become accustomed to. You don't really hear it, and if it goes away it might take a while to realize it. Gina chose red, and after I finished painting her toenails, I went to pour more wine. Haley took her glass and went to do her hair and makeup while Gina was waiting to dry. Gina was getting up to go as Haley entered the room. When they make an effort, they look exceptional. Not that they aren't stunning anyway, but my breath is taken away. I realized that Gina hadn't been drinking her wine after the first glass. "You okay? You're not drinking?" I asked. "I'm fine, just really hungry," she explained. "Oh, that's right, we didn't stop and have breakfast and here we are well afternoon. What do you feel like?" I started toward the kitchen. "A cheeseburger," Gina answered. "And fries." "We don't have the stuff for cheeseburgers," I pointed out. "I know, but it looks like it has stopped raining and I think we all look so fabulous that we should take a drive and get some cheeseburgers." She grabbed her purse. "Sounds really good to me," Haley answered. "I'll grab my purse." "Don't bother, lunch is on me since it is my idea," Gina said. "I'm going to drive since I've only had one glass, and because Dan isn't used to driving in heels." "I can wait here," I offered. "We'll go through a drive-through somewhere," Gina explained. "Come on, be adventurous, come with us. Anybody sees us in the car will think it's 3 women out for the day." I can't ever seem to say no to Gina. So, I just nodded and started for the door. "Shotgun," Haley called out and passed me on the way to the door. I slipped into the back seat and arranged my dress. Haley was in front of me, Gina climbed in behind the wheel. We drove for about 15 minutes when we got to the town limits. The main road was 2 lanes in each direction and seemed a likely place to find food. I noticed a pickup truck in the next lane and the driver was taking a long look at Haley and me. I tried to pretend I didn't notice and just stared straight ahead. Gina spotted some sort of burger barn that looked promising and turned into the lot. There were a couple cars already waiting, so we got into line. I decided I wanted a double cheeseburger with bacon and large fries. "That dress is stretchy, but you keep eating like that you won't be fitting into it for long," Gina teased. "If the rain stays away, we can take a walk after lunch, looks like it may dry up pretty quick," I promised. "I don't know," Haley added, "those trails might not be too dry for walking in those shoes." "You know what? I think we ought to do some shopping tomorrow." "I'm fine with that." Gina pulled forward. "Sure, I can be up for that," I answered. "But I am wearing my jeans." Gina put in the order at the speaker and after a couple minutes pulled up to the window. There was a cute blonde girl, probably a high school student, working the window. She told Gina the total and Gina handed her some cash. "Wow, you girls look like you are heading out to some party." The girl handed Gina her change. She leaned down and gave us all a good look. "No, just bored with the rain, so we did Monty Python on each other and just wanted to play a little dress up," Gina told her. "Speaking of dress up, is there a dress shop in town here somewhere? I think we are going to try and do some shopping tomorrow." "Oh, yeah, the Emporium has some good stuff. From here go about 5 blocks, take a right and go 2 more." She pointed further down the street we came in on. "Unless you want something really dressy, then you'll have to go into the city. That's about 45 minutes from here, but it is where all the girls go for prom dresses and stuff. You're all so pretty, I think you'll find lots of good stuff." "The Emporium sounds perfect for tomorrow," Gina told her as she accepted the bags of food from her and passed them over to Haley. "And we have a tradition of doing a formal dinner on our last night, so guess we'll drive over to the city later this week." "Thank you. Thank you for coming by." The girl offered a beautiful smile. "I hope I have great girlfriends like you 3 when I'm older." "I hope you do too," Gina answered. "We are a unique bunch." She headed back toward the cabin. So, she gave us all a good look and thinks we are all really pretty. Does that make you feel better, Dan? Yeah, I guess, I answered. In fact, I got a real warm feeling when I heard her say it. You could hear in her voice that she was being sincere, but I didn't get too carried away. Of course, she didn't see me standing up. She might have had a different opinion then. Well, she would have either thought you were a really pretty tall woman, Haley answered, or a really pretty man in a dress. Either way, you come out really pretty. Thanks. I leaned forward and gave her shoulders a squeeze. Seriously, Gina went on, if you weren't that tall you would easily pass for a girl. It is honestly amazing how easily you fall into the mannerisms when you put on a dress or a nightgown. It is like what you said that started all this, Haley added, sometimes we just forget you are a guy. When we did the first trip I thought we'd have a good time when I got offered the place, then when Gina suggested we all actually wear nightgowns, well I wasn't sure about you running around in a nightgown. I mean a lot of guys would have probably picked something like what I teased you about with the mostly see-through top and panties and been all trying to convince us to look at his dick and have sex. But you became one of the girls. That is why I was pretty certain that I could come get in your bed with you and not be feeling that you would take it as a sexual come on. Well, when I came in and you were already in bed with him, I thought maybe since you went to his bed that you were looking to bed him, Gina told her story. I mean if he went to your room, then I would have suspected it was him trying to get you. But I was so happy that you were just talking and look where it got us. I never thought I would be planning vacations with the three of us all sharing a bed, let alone driving around dressed up as we are. Well, for my side, I decided to add my endorsement. I didn't realize that we would really be doing nightgowns. Initially, I was just trying to focus on not staring at your boobs when you were both walking around braless. You are my two best friends, and I didn't want to cause problems with that, as we've discussed. I figured I could wear a nightgown for a couple nights if it made you happy. I never imagined I'd be dress shopping and wearing a formal dress the next night. But I actually enjoyed it more than I could possibly believe I would. And we talked and I was able to resolve my feelings and end up with a great girlfriend and keep my best girlfriend. I'll say it again, I love you both. We got to the house and sat at the table and ate lunch. We decided to watch a movie. Haley was reading through a list of movies and Gina told her to stop at The Big Chill. It has the best music, she explained, and it is about friends. We both agreed and cuddled up together on the couch with a blanket thrown over our legs. We drank more wine as the movie played. When it was over we played a couple games, had some dinner and changed into our nightgowns again. After a bit we crawled into bed together. Monday. The sky was clear and the sun streamed in the windows. It was a little on the cool side and we were all warm beneath the covers together. Are we going dress shopping today? Haley asked. Works for me, Gina answered. That was fun yesterday. Dan, you going to wear a dress or skirt today? Walking around here, then the ride in the car left me feeling a little more confident but not that confident, I admitted. Today I'll stick with jeans. Suit yourself, I'm going to go get ready. Haley climbed out of bed and scurried from the room. I gave Gina a playful squeeze, a few minutes alone. Not enough time, she kissed me, but you can go first in the shower. She gave me a little rub. And yes, I can feel you miss me, and I do miss you too. I sighed and crawled out from under the covers. I grabbed clean panties, stripped naked and paraded toward the bathroom for Gina's enjoyment. After drying off I slipped on a pair of purple bikini panties. Nothing fancy about them but they felt nice. I came out of the bathroom and Gina passed me heading for the shower. Of course she was naked returning the favor I had done her. I pulled on my jeans and grabbed a t-shirt. Before I left the closet, I fingered a pleated skirt that hung there. I wanted to wear it, but I just couldn't bring myself to walk around a town and go into a store wearing a skirt. I headed for the kitchen and Haley joined me. She was wearing skinny jeans and a cotton top. We got some breakfast and sat at the table waiting for Gina. When she joined us, she was wearing a long green skirt and white top. She explained she liked shopping in a skirt because it was easy to get in and out of. We finished breakfast and checked the time. We guessed the dress shop would likely open around 10, so we left right at 10. I drove this time since I was in regular shoes. When we got there, it turned out the store didn't open until 11, so we took a stroll looking in windows of the few other stores in the area. There was an antique store that was open, so we browsed until it was time to head over to the Emporium. We walked into the store and a small bell attached to the door announced our entry. A moment later a woman who appeared to be in her 70s came out from the back. "Oh, hello," she cried. "I don't get guests so early on a Monday usually, so please, yell out if you need any help. I just need to finish organizing some things in the back." "Thank you," Gina answered. "We'll certainly let you know." With that the lady gave a little wave and disappeared back through the doorway. We wandered around the place. There was a better selection than I expected in a small town store. I saw racks of slacks, tops, dresses, skirts, lingerie over in the corner. Since it was just the three of us, I was comfortable looking things over. Gina immediately found 4 or 5 outfits she wanted to try on. "Hey Dan," Haley called, "check this dress out." I walked over to her and she held up a floor-length dress. It was maroon with a wide elastic waistband, long billowy sleeves that were sheer, and a V-neck. The dress itself was a sheer layer over a liner. "That is nice." I fingered the material. How it felt was very important to me. "You really ought to try it on," she insisted. "Dressing booths are right over there." I looked around and found we were still alone, so I took the dress from her and started for the dressing area. They were booths with a solid door that had about a 1-foot gap at the bottom and another gap at the top, but the door looked high enough, at least 6 feet. I was 2 steps from the door when the lady returned from the back. I saw her eyes look at the dress in my arms and back at my face. My heart started pounding immediately. "Wait," she commanded and came toward me. She reached for the dress and took hold of the top. She eyed me up and down again and then looked at the tag inside. "Going to try this on?" Yeah, I guess so," I answered. I noticed Haley and Gina both moving closer. "Okay," the lady was now close enough I could see her tag said Norma. "This one might fit you. I'm afraid I don't have many things that are long. Because you are so tall, you're going to have trouble finding a true floor-length dress." "Do you wear heels with the dress?" I don't know," I answered. "I don't own a floor-length dress. My friend, Haley, suggested I try this one." "Okay, well just go on in there and we'll see how it looks." Norma let go of the dress and pulled a door open. I went in. "Oh, I'm so glad you are okay with this," I heard Gina say as I started undressing. I hated thinking I was going to have to put these back. "Dear," I heard Norma answer, "I've been in business for a long time and I didn't stay in business by turning down customers who wanted to buy a dress or a pair of panties. I didn't always feel that way, but with age comes some wisdom. At least it does for some of us." I heard them laughing as I tried to sort my way through the layers of the dress to get it over my head. Then I heard Norma say, "Really? Oh my, that is amazing." I got the dress pulled down and twisted the sleeves around to get everything set. I stepped out into the room and saw Gina showing Norma something on her phone. I knew immediately they had to be the pictures from our formal dinner on the coast. "Why don't you use that booth there?" She pointed at a door for Gina to use, then turned to me. "Well, let's take a look at you. From those pictures I was just shown, I see you have potential to look amazing." She tugged at the dress here and there. "As I feared, it will be just a little short, especially if you wear heels. If it is just you and the girls, I'm sure they wouldn't mind, but if you go out somewhere it might seem a little off." "Oh, I really don't go out like what you saw in the pictures," I explained. "Just us around the cabin." "Well, there are options where you might have something altered," she explained. "That dress would be hard to lengthen because of the fabrics. But, as I said, I think you would enjoy it." "Did anything else catch your eye?" Gina came out in a wild ankle-length dress. It was sleeveless with lots of ruffles adorned with roses. It had a white belt at the waist. "Oh dear." Norma went to her. "That dress looks so pretty on you. I hope you decide to buy it. You look so beautiful." "I agree, I moved closer to her, feeling my own dress move around my legs. I've got a few more to try, but I do really like it. Gina turned a little back and forth, making the dress swirl around her. I think I could wear this to work in the spring. I don't change my inventory out for the seasons, Norma explained. Too much trouble for the traffic I get. I'm an all-season shop. I'm going to change. Gina looked me up and down. I like that on you. Going to try something else? I am going to be a little while, so you might as well make use of the time. She went back into the booth. Feel free to look around before you change if you like, Norma offered. I thanked her and moved back to the racks of clothes, trying to decide what I liked. Haley came out in a blue wrap mini dress that had long sleeves and a couple rows of ruffles on the skirt. Yes. She came right to me. I knew that dress would look good on you. Well, I have to say that one looks great on you. I like it. I'm considering it. She turned. You still shopping? I'm looking. Norma said I didn't have to change right away in case I found something else to try. I just hope nobody else comes in. I'd suggest finding everything you want to try then. Grab a few things so you don't have to keep going back and forth. I'm going to try something else. She turned and left. I really hoped both girls decided to buy those dresses. They looked amazing. I did find a few dresses and took them back to the changing booth. In the end, I decided on 3 dresses. The first one I tried on, a flowered mini dress that would be good in the spring, and a red midi dress with half sleeves. I don't know why I worried about season. I was about to check out when Haley suggested I look at the bras. She reminded me I might want something that was strapless for my other dress. We picked through the bras together and she made a couple suggestions. I ended up buying 3 bras in all, so I didn't have just the one to wear. The girls each made purchases and we finished up and left the store. I think it must be karma that we keep finding stores with people acceptable to me shopping in them, I stated. Well, 1, don't jinx it, Haley answered. And 2, people want to make sales. Only idiots would limit their own income, but they are out there. We pulled away and had barely gone 2 blocks when Haley called for me to stop. Look, a wig shop. I didn't think there would be one in this town. We need to stop. You want a wig? I asked. No, you do, she explained. Until your hair grows out more it will be better. Come on, let's go. Gina didn't say a word, she just got out of the car and followed Haley into the shop, and so did I. We walked in and looked around. What do you think? Gina asked. Want to be a blonde? Redhead? Or go with your current color? I think I would prefer to keep my color, I answered, once again nervous. What about you? What do you think I should do? And would either of you consider getting one? Maybe, Gina answered. If I felt like I really needed a change but didn't want to dye or cut my hair. Here, check this one out. She handed me a long wig. The hair was really close to the same color as my own. I stuck it on my head and tried to stuff any loose hairs under the edges. Haley had me try another one, and after a while we all decided on one that worked. It was long and slightly curled. We went back to the cabin and ended up deciding to have an early dinner. We changed into nightgowns and played some games while drinking wine until time for bed. Tuesday. I put on my pleated skirt for another walk down to the lake. This time we didn't encounter anyone else. It was cold since it was still early in the day and the breeze played at my skirt. The girls huddled close to me while we stood on the little beach where the breeze was free to blow. We walked back and after a bit ate some lunch. I did find a place to rent a catamaran. It was large enough for the 3 of us and the breeze promised a fine day of sailing. We dressed warmly for being out on the water, back into jeans for me. I promised the girls I would keep them out of the water. As long as it has been since I last sailed, I really hope to keep that promise. The afternoon promised to be a bit warmer, but a dunk would end the day. We donned our life vests and the girls climbed on. A final shove, I jumped on, and we floated out toward open water. I pulled in the sail and we were off. I love the feeling of flying across the water with no engine noise to drown out the rest of the sounds. The girls were loving it too, huddling together toward the front. I teased them some pulling the sail in so that we picked up speed and one of the holes rose up out of the water. By the time we reached the beach again, I was exhausted but so exhilarated at the same time. I pulled the boat further up onto the sand and lifted the girls off and onto dry sand. They each gave me a kiss as I set them down. "We have got to do that again," Haley squealed as we drove back to the cabin. "Especially in the summer when it is warm enough to get in the water. Can you stop the boat out in the middle so we could swim?" "Possibly, cut the sail loose so it doesn't catch the wind." I tried to explain in simple terms. In truth, I couldn't remember all the real ones. "I'd likely stay on the boat to make sure it didn't float off. Or you could teach us so we could take turns tending it while the others swam," Gina offered. I just about had a heart attack when I felt the boat tipping over. I laughed. "They call that flying the hull and that was nothing. We only came out of the water a foot or so. With the wind we had today, I could get it almost all the way up and we would be flying across the water." "How do you keep from falling off?" Haley asked. "Those straps on the canvas can be used to stand on, and as you go up more you move to sit on the side and lean back. It's great fun." We got back and I ended up taking a nap before dinner. I decided to put that maroon dress back on for dinner. When the girls saw me, that chose to wear one of their new dresses as well. Gina came back in a brown paisley midi dress with long sleeves, V-neck and a lace that tied at the front at her throat. Haley was in a white sweater dress. Long sleeves and well above the knee. We hung out and did the usual. Finally, it was time for bed. Despite my nap, I was still tired. I changed into my nightgown and crawled into bed. Gina quickly followed as Haley came in from her room. "Thank you for today." Gina snuggled up and kissed me. "Yes, that was so much fun, thank you." Haley gave me a kiss as well. Could things get any better than this? Wednesday. Another day of no plans, so we decided to take a drive. We packed a couple sandwiches and found a state park nearby. We hiked a couple trails, found a few waterfalls, and settled at a picnic table to eat our lunch. Being a girl with the girls is a lot of fun, but sometimes I like being a guy with them as well, and today is one of those days. I think I was enjoying it because I knew that because it was a long drive, tomorrow we would head to the city to buy our dresses for the Friday night dinner. While the shopping trip earlier in the week was helping me get a bit more comfortable with it, I still worried about how I would be received. We stopped at a diner we found for dinner, deciding to eat out for a change. Had a nice dinner and went back for, you guess it, more wine. When it was time for bed, I decided that the white nightgown was done for the week and tossed it into the laundry. I grabbed the third nightgown I brought. This was the first short one I had chosen. The others had all been long. It was lilac in color, silky feel, spaghetti straps to a round neck. It was just a few inches past my crotch, so just long enough. There wasn't any lace or other things, just plain. I had looked at so many nightgowns and wanted something that didn't look too sexy or too old-fashioned. I hoped this struck the right note. I left the bathroom and Gina was standing by the bed waiting for me. Haley was already in bed. They both reacted. "Wow," Haley called. My, Gina answered. Gina also had put on a different nightgown. It was white, short, and had lots of lace panels. "Should I put one of my long ones on?" I asked. "Nope," Haley answered immediately. "I'm fine with it if you are," Gina responded. "Go on, get into bed. That's just the shortest one you've worn." "I like it." "So do I," Haley answered. I carefully got into the bed and slid over by Haley to give Gina room. She got in and the girls took their usual positions with their heads on my shoulders. I could feel the back of Gina's gown now and found it was mostly bare skin with more lace running up the center of her back. Haley's was different too, though I hadn't seen it. I was feeling a lot of skin. It took me a while to be able to get to sleep. The girls seemed to fall asleep right away. Thursday. I got up the next morning and the girls insisted that I wear a dress to do the shopping. They felt it would really make it a better girls' day, and because since I've had some time the past couple days acting like a guy on the girls' getaway. Of course, I relented. After showering, I put on my panties and bra. The bra was black and strapless. The panties were actually a full brief. The front had a solid black diamond of satiny material, as was the whole backside. From the edges of the front piece to the side was a lace mesh. I still had my nails painted pink, so I went with the dress I had worn back on Sunday. The girls then went to work on my makeup and fixed my wig for me. When I looked in the mirror, I could see I was passable, at least from a distance. I felt a little better about this trip. I reminded myself that nobody in this place we were heading for would know any of us. I went to the living room and waited for the girls to get themselves ready. After a while they came out, both in mid-length dresses they had bought earlier in the week, and we went out to the car. Gina drove again. I had better than an hour to think while we drove. We talked, but I couldn't remember what we talked about. I kept looking down at my legs and the hem of the skirt, tugging at it on occasion. I'd look over at Gina and the way her dress dipped down between her legs since she didn't have her knees together while driving. We pulled up in front of a large store. There were a half-dozen mannequins in the windows dressed in beautiful dresses. I watched as two women left the store and another walked in. We wouldn't be alone in the store this time. Okay, this time, no black. Agreed? Gina asked. Sure, I want something colorful this time around, Haley approved. Whatever you like, I answered nervously. You'll be fine, Gina assured me. She laid a hand on my thigh. So, we do this one at a time again, surprise for tomorrow night. But should we all walk in together to start to be sure Dan doesn't get any guff from someone? Plus, we should make sure we use the same salesperson so she can keep us from possibly getting something too alike. I think that worked great last time, Haley answered. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right, let's go. Gina turned and got out. I opened the door and held my skirt as I got out of the car. I had my license, a credit card and some lip gloss in one of my pockets, a reason I wore this dress. Perhaps I'll find a purse somewhere today. The thought shocked me. Here I was thinking about needing a purse when I was still sweating going into the store. We walked in. I saw a couple women already shopping and they glanced at us. One gave me a serious up and down examination. I tried to ignore her and followed the girls toward the back of the store where the sales counter was. Kristen was standing there sorting some clothes out when we approached. She was wearing a nice dress for work and looked to be in her early 20s. Haley spoke up and explained what we wanted to do. She eyed us each and frowned a bit when she looked at me. I'm not certain we have anything that will fit, her. She wrinkled her nose as she said it. My heart fell into my stomach. Is there a problem? Another girl came from behind us. She looked to be the same age. She had on a tan skirt and white blouse. Her name was Violet. Apparently we've come to the wrong place, Gina answered. She went on to explain again what we were looking to do. But, Kristen feels there isn't anything here for our friend. Kristen, why don't you go see if those ladies need help? Violet sent her off. I am really sorry about that. I would be happy to help you out and we have plenty of wonderful dresses for you to try and choose from. Fine. Gina smiled. She hooked Haley's arm. We'll go and one of us will return later. They turned and left. Well, what shall I call you? She smiled at me. As you have probably seen, I'm Violet. Dan, I whispered. I see. She stepped from behind the counter. Would it be okay if I called you Danny for now? It might make some others here more comfortable and maybe draw a little less attention to you. That would be fine. I started to feel a little better. She acknowledged that there were some that might have an issue with me, indicated she was okay with me, and offered a solution. So, what are we thinking? She looked me over. You can definitely wear short, you have really nice legs. But, there isn't any reason to not go long with a slit that will still show them off. Will you be eating out somewhere? No, this is just a sort of tradition, I answered. We walked between racks of dresses and looked at some that hung along the walls while I gave her a brief description of how I came to be standing in the store that day. I think that is wonderful of you, Violet answered. At first, I worried that your friends might be trying to embarrass you somehow, but now I think you are all just extremely close. This is the sort of friendship that could last the ages. I didn't mention that I started dating Gina, the taller blonde lady, right after the beach trip, I explained. And she still wants your other friend along? That is exceptional. She turned her head a little. Please excuse me a moment, see if there is something you like along here, there should be some in your size. She disappeared around a rack. I found 3 dresses I wanted to try and started back toward the desk. As I approached, I saw Kristen storming toward the front door. Violet was hanging up the phone. My apologies, she offered. It seems Kristen wasn't the best fit to work here. I would have talked to her later about dealing with customers who have special needs, but I overheard her talking to another customer about something she should not have been saying. So, let's try and get you going in the fitting room. It looks like I might be a bit busier until another girl can get in. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cause anyone any problems, I offered. And you didn't, Violet answered. She already had the problem. Now, head on back here and try on that first dress. I went and pulled a curtain closed. I tried on all 3 dresses and once again knew I had the dress when I saw it on me. Violet did check on me as I tried each dress and offered her opinion. One dress I tried was long with a thigh-high slit, another was short with a really full skirt. I was standing in front of the mirrors and checking out the last dress. The one I felt was the dress when I saw the reflection of a woman come from behind another curtain in a floor-length gown. You look lovely, my dear, she offered as she approached a single mirror. Thank you, I whispered. That dress looks terrific on you. I stepped away from the set of mirrors so she could step in. Oh, thank you. She stood in front giving herself a critical eye. Sometimes I have such a hard time deciding. Violet came in with a pink dress. Danny, I noticed your nails and thought this dress might be of interest. I've decided on this one, I told her. Already? She asked. You can take your time, try on as many as you like. No, this is it, I explained. It is the dress. Ah, how lucky for you that you were able to find it so easily. She looked me over. Let me take those other dresses back while you change. Do you happen to have any purses? I asked. I'm afraid I am going to lose my things out of my pocket. There are some clutches on a table by the checkout that should serve. She gathered the dresses and left. After I changed back into my dress, I went and looked them over. I found a plain black one that I felt would work and returned to the counter. When I got there, I noticed a rack with earrings. I flipped through and found a pair that would go with the dress. Perfect. Violet scanned the tag. When I called my manager to tell her about Kristen's behavior, she told me to offer you a 20% discount if you decided to do business with us considering the way you were treated. She applied the discount and presented me the total. I signed off on the charge. Thank you, Danny. Violet smiled. I hope you choose to come see us again. I thanked her for her help and kindness, then turned and left the store. I went and found the girls. After the store, I wasn't as concerned about walking down the street. We put my dress in the car and as we walked back, I told them both about what happened in the store after they left. Gina had Haley go next. Gina and I strolled along the street doing some window shopping. I saw her hesitate at one store. Do you want to go in there? I asked. It's just a bookstore, she brushed it off. I've got enough to read for now. I can get something later. I wouldn't mind looking to see if they have anything I might want. Gina's face opened up in a smile. She took my hand and led me into the store. Danny, are you ready? She called. I walked over. I hadn't found anything that I wanted. She went to the counter and paid for a couple books she liked and we left. There you are. Haley called out. Your turn, Gina. She handed her the keys. Gina surprised me by actually giving me a kiss before heading off. So, Violet really liked you, Haley told me as we started walking along. She actually said she was a bit disappointed that you found a dress you liked so fast. She wanted to know how we talked you into doing it. I told her about it, showed her the pictures we took. She said you had told her about a lot of it already. I told her it took a really special guy who would allow himself to be a part of us like you have. I don't think you can make someone want to do this. There has to be something already there. How did she feel about that? I wondered aloud. She agreed that you are special. She hugged my arm. We walked and talked for a while until Gina caught up with us again. All set for tomorrow night, she said. Anyone up for dinner? It'll be late before we get back. If you order for me, I answered, I'll go. Both girls hugged me. A restaurant, nice but not too nice. The steaks are for tomorrow, Gina stated. We went back to the car and cruised around for a little while looking for the right place. Haley spotted an Italian restaurant that we agreed would work. Once inside, Gina asked for a booth and we were led to a nice cozy area. Gina ordered for all three of us. I wanted the baked ziti. She ordered wine and we sat and talked and drank and ate and had a great time. As we were getting ready to leave, I realized I needed to go to the bathroom. We decided to judge the room as we made our way to the front where the restrooms were. Lots of eyes followed our progress through the restaurant and I was afraid I couldn't use either bathroom, but then I noticed the restroom sign I hadn't seen before, a picture of a man and a woman as well as a wheelchair, a family restroom. Thank God! I walked in and locked the door. I lifted my dress, lowered my panties, took a seat and let out a sigh as the stream let loose. I put myself back together, washed my hands, fixed my lip gloss, double-checked the back of my dress and almost left my purse on the sink. I picked it up and left. I came out and neither Gina nor Haley were there waiting. I proceeded outside and saw the empty car. I was starting to get worried when they came out of the restaurant. Sorry, we had to go too, Haley explained. We used the other one, Gina added. We went to the car and back to the cabin. I went straight to the bedroom, got ready for bed and climbed under the covers. Gina went to the bathroom and emerged a short time later in that same white lacy gown. As she was getting into bed, Haley came in wearing a short silky nightgown trimmed in lace. When she sat on the edge of the bed, I saw that there was very little to the back. We all cuddled up together. I had such a great time today, Gina purred. Thank you both. I didn't do much except spend money, Haley murmured back. That's easy to do. You also have gone along and been supportive of Dan, Gina went on. That's been important to me. When I started this, I didn't know how it would turn out. I had no idea that Dan would take to it like he has. I had no idea how much I'd like it. It was a whim and it paid off in spades. I thought it was crazy, I added my part. In the beginning I did it to make you happy. I figured we'd have a good laugh about it, me in a nightgown. Then it got serious with the dress. But I enjoyed it, maybe so much that I worried about how you would take it. You were encouraging and supportive, even if that wasn't your intent. Now, the genie is out of the bottle and I don't think it will go back in. How far do you think you'll go with it? Haley asked as she settled in a little more. How much further could I go? I asked. I mean, I think it would be neat to have real breasts, but I don't want to do anything permanent like that. I definitely don't want any other changes. I like being a guy, not looking to change my sex because I've discovered an appreciation for the more feminine wardrobe. So, I guess, if you don't mind, I'm happy with the way I am. I'm very happy about your newfound wardrobe and your being a guy. Gina ran her hand across my body. Should I go back to my room tonight? Haley asked. I don't mind, you've been real good this week. Don't you dare, Gina commanded. We're fine. Good night. And that was the final word. Kisses were exchanged and we went to sleep. Friday. Everyone rolled out of bed excited for the dinner that was coming later. We went to the kitchen and ate some breakfast, decided to take another morning walk. I went back and took a shower and got dressed. Gina was coming in as I was trying to sort through a new dress I had bought on Monday. It was black with tiny blue, white and tan flowers all over it, so many that it appeared more blue than black. The problem I was having was that the dress was very light, not quite see-through, but in any light you can see through it. That is why it has a liner, a black slip that has the strap sewn into the shoulder. The slip comes to mid-thigh while the tiered skirt reaches just below my knee. It is a battle getting all the material arranged, arms through the right holes, and then getting the slip right since it fits pretty tight and the dress catches up in it, but once everything is in place, it is great. The dress feels like it floats, and the slip hugs me tight. Going all girl today? Gina asked as she pulled off her nightgown. I like that dress. What are you wearing for shoes? If we are going for a walk, I am wearing my regular sandals, I explained. If someone doesn't like it, that is their problem. By the way, do you mind if I try playing with your makeup? I love what you guys do, but I think if I learn you'll have more time for yourself, and maybe I can surprise you sometimes. Gina turned and threw her arms around my neck and gave me a huge kiss. I held her naked body against me and let the kiss go on for as long as she wanted. Sure, she pulled away, and when I get done I'll help you if you run into any problems. She started into the bathroom. Oh, by the way, I like the way that dress feels, really nice on my nipples. She turned on the shower. I took a seat in front of a mirror and tried to remember all the things the girls did to me before. I smeared and powdered and dusted and tried to duplicate what they did, but it never was right. It wasn't bad, but just not right. I dropped the mascara with a sigh just as Gina came out of the bathroom. She was in a baby blue bra and panty set. Let's take a look. She stepped around to look at my face. Oh, you did a pretty good job for your first attempt on your own. There are just a few subtle touches to finish the job and maybe a little less of things in some places. She took her time and showed me what she was doing, and in the end my face looked pretty good. You're going to have to redo some of this for tonight. I did a daytime job on you. I expect a nighttime look for dinner. I nodded and kissed her, then fixed my lips. At least I had that part down. I put on my wig while I waited with her as she did her makeup and then slipped into a dress. It was brown with long sleeves, and like mine it had a liner, but she slipped into it like a pro. Hey, we ready yet? Haley knocked, then pushed the door open. Oh, are we dressing up for the walk? She had on a sweatshirt and yoga pants. Up to you, Gina answered. When I came in Dan was slipping into his dress, so I decided to wear one too. And you took the time to do his makeup too? She asked. I did some touch-up. He did most of it himself, she praised me. Really, very nice, Haley answered. Okay, give me a couple minutes. She started taking off her sweatshirt as she turned away from the door. When Haley joined us, she had on a brown dress as well, long sleeves, low round neck and elastic waist. I think we look way too good to be traipsing around the woods, I told them. But I am not looking to go anywhere other than this walk. I just thought if today was our last full day of the girls' getaway, then I wanted to be like a girl all day today. I think that is just great, Haley answered. And I don't mind being girly today. Let's go. We walked out the door and picked a direction to walk. It was a little cool when we set out, but the day was warming up quickly. We talked about having to go back to work after the weekend, about when we wanted to start getting dinner ready, different things. We walked for a couple hours just strolling along enjoying the day. We got back and had a light lunch, decided on playing a few games together until it was time to change. I was actually shaking with excitement this time as I went back to the bedroom to change. Gina offered to wait while I changed. Haley went to her room. I got my dress off and went to the closet to unwrap my dress for tonight. I changed my bra out for a strapless. The gown was one shoulder. It was navy with a silver edge along the top that became the strap over my left shoulder that dropped straight down my back. Another silver triangle at my hip balanced the pattern. A navy belt circled my waist. The skirt was fabulous with layers of chiffon that reached the floor in varied lengths. Like my other dress, most of it was sheer below the knee. I sat down and worked on my eyes, darkening the makeup. I changed the color of my lip gloss, going slightly darker. I changed my panty out and dug out a black thong. I hadn't worn one before but felt with this dress I should wear one. It was clingy, and I felt the lines might show. It felt strange when I got it on as the thin strip of material slipped between my cheeks. I got my dress on and knew the choice was right. I put my wig back on and checked my look. Earrings, I put them on and felt I was ready. I walked back out and Gina had heard me coming and was already walking toward me. "Oh, you look wonderful." She took my hands and gave me a good look. "That dress is excellent. You have such great taste in dresses. And you did a wonderful job on your makeup." Now, she lightly kissed my cheek. "I'll go see if I can look as good as my boyfriend." She hurried down the hall and closed the door. Before I got 2 steps toward the kitchen and the first bottle of wine for the night, I heard Haley coming out of her room. "Okay, come on, I heard Gina gushing all over you, let's see." I turned around and she was stunning. It was a little pink dress. The skirt was very short and full and had a sheer layer on top with pink flowers embroidered all over. The top was a deep V with her breasts held by the dress. There were 2 flower straps that came up to a choker. "Come on, give me a spin," she commanded. I did a turn, letting the dress spread out around me. "Your turn." She smiled and did her own turn. The back of the dress had a single row of flowers that went from the choker to the waist. "You are beautiful." I leaned in and kissed her cheek. "Wine?" "Of course." She moved to the fridge and began getting things out for preparing the dinner. "I think next time we hire a chef to prepare the meal while we get ready. I would hate to get something on our dresses trying to get things ready." "Fine, but I think I'd be more comfortable with a woman chef if you don't mind," I answered. "I'll look into that." Haley winked at me. We started getting things underway while we waited on Gina to join us. She was in a red, satiny tea-length dress with a full skirt. The top was tight to the body, bra-type top. It reminded me of fancy dresses worn back in the 50s. "Wow. We are going to get a picture of us, right?" I asked. "Of course," Haley answered. "Wouldn't miss the chance." I see Haley and I both went for boobs in these dresses. Haley shook her shoulders, letting her breasts shake like jello. "Careful," I warned, "you don't want to fall out of that dress." "Oh, I'm in here pretty well," Haley laughed. "And your boobs look great, Gina." "Thanks, this dress has a lot of built-in help." She puffed up her chest a bit more. "So, where's my wine and what can I do to help?" I poured wine. We prepared dinner. I set up the camera to get a picture of us at the dinner table and enjoyed our dinner. Once again we left the dishes until morning, but we decided to have more wine out on the patio. It was a little cool, so I got sweaters for us to put over our mostly bare shoulders. Several hours later we decided it was time for bed. We cleaned up enough to make the morning work easier and headed for bed. Haley went to her room to change. Gina and I walked into ours. We stopped and kissed before undressing, and Gina slipped her hands down my back and onto my butt. She leaned back to look at me. "Are you wearing a thing?" she continued, groping my butt. "You are." I nodded. I reached up and unzipped the side of my dress and stepped out of it. I turned around and let Gina undo my bra and take a look at my backside. "Do you like it?" she asked and ran her hand across the bare skin. "I felt it was necessary for this dress," I explained. "I had it but wasn't sure about wearing it until I found this dress. Anyway, I would wear one again if I felt the need, but I think I prefer a little more material back there." "I understand." She unzipped her dress and stepped out of it. Red panties, high waist and lots of lace. Do you mind if I try your dress on?" I asked. "I doubt I will get it zipped, but I'd like to try." She handed me the dress and took mine to hang it up. I stepped into it and tried to zip it up. It wouldn't go very far, but the skirt had layers of tulle under it that made it stand out some. I liked how it felt. "Sorry," Gina smiled. "You'll have to find something in your size if you like it." "Yeah, I know." I unzipped the little bit I got done and handed it back to Gina. We proceeded to clean up and get ready for bed. "Going to leave the thing on under the nightgown?" she asked. "Yeah, I have just one clean pair of panties left and I need them for tomorrow. Besides, I think Haley has already gotten a good look at my butt." "And we've seen hers," Gina answered. I was getting into bed when the door opened and Haley came in. She crawled into bed and we snuggled up together. Too bad this has to end, Haley whispered as she made herself comfortable. We both agreed. Saturday. I started to wake and was surprised to find both girls were still curled up on my shoulders. I gave them a little squeeze and felt the squeeze returned on my dick. I looked to Gina and she moved her head to look up at me. Morning, I whispered and gave her but a squeeze. She hummed a little and I felt her hand start sliding up my thigh. Then I realized whose hand was on me and she was about to find Haley's hand where I thought hers was. What's this? I felt the weight of a second hand atop the first. Haley started to stir and she squeezed me again. Wah? Oh. She jerked her hand back. I'm sorry, I didn't know. Don't worry, Gina told her softly. Dan didn't seem to mind and frankly, I'm surprised it hasn't happened before with us all sleeping together. Told you it felt nice, though this one doesn't have any lace. Well, yeah, I guess. She was blushing furiously. Listen, she started crawling out of bed. I think I am going to start packing my stuff, and if I get done first, I'll start working on the kitchen. She scurried out of the room and pulled the door closed behind her. Poor girl, Gina laughed. But I did want to talk to you for a moment alone. Sure. I realized my thigh was being pushed to the side and Gina calmly moved to side on top of me. Well, she had my full attention now. What would you think of heading home from here rather than taking Haley to her car? She spoke quietly while slowly bobbing up and down. You could drive her to her car on Sunday. Yeah, sure, that sounds like a good plan, I answered. Be honest with me. She leaned closer to my face. Do you like sleeping with us both? Given that we don't do this, are you okay with having another night? Gina prodded. Yes, I do. I was breathing hard and trying not to get loud in my answers. I love having both your, I had to stop for a minute. Both your bodies pressed up against me. Okay. She slipped back over to the side of the bed. I wanted to be sure. I like this too. I can't explain why any better than I can explain why I get so turned on seeing you dressed up in a beautiful dress and makeup. I am just happier with this setup than I can believe. Now, go take a shower and get dressed. You can pack us up while I shower. I got out of bed and pulled the thing off, grabbed my last pair of clean panties, these were white and lacy, and went to the shower. Once I finished, I pulled on a pair of jeans and a t-shirt while Gina was getting in the shower. She had set out the clothes she was wearing on the bed, so I went about sorting everything else out and getting bags packed, dresses in bags, and packed everything that she wasn't going to need. I carried the things out to the front door and headed for the kitchen where Haley was already working on washing dishes. I picked up a towel and began drying and putting them away. Sorry about that, Haley said, refusing to look at me. It's okay, I told her. If I remember correctly, you had to remove my hand from your boob one time. Actually, more than once. She giggled. But that's just a boob, not my, well, coochie, I believe is the word you used before? I bumped her. Yeah. She giggled more. Gina is okay with things, right? Very okay, I assured her. Matter of fact, she asked me if I would be okay with asking you about just coming home with us today and taking you to the car tomorrow. I don't think she is ready for this vacation to be over. And, truth is, I'm not either. I would have thought a week of us together would be great and that we'd be ready to get back to our own spaces once we got back, but at least with me, and with Gina, we aren't ready. Haley pulled the plug in the sink and the water started to drain. She looked me in the eye. Are you sure? I nodded. Well, the truth is that I love being with you too. I don't mind that you grab my boobs or press yourself against my butt. My eyebrows tried to climb up to my hairline. Yes, you do that too. But I also know you do it to both of us, and I would think that would bother me, but it doesn't. I'm glad to hear that. Gina set down the remaining bags that she brought from the bedroom, because I've seen the same things you have. I think the only one that didn't know what was going on in his sleep was Dan. So, will you come home with us for tonight? I'd love to, Haley answered. I need to get my bags. Let me. I offered and went and cleaned out her room of the packed bags. We packed the car, decided to stop at a cafe we had spotted for breakfast, and then began the long drive home. We took a long route since there wasn't a rush and got home just before dinner. I pulled all our bags in from the car and let Gina and Haley sort through what was needed. For us, everything got unpacked and put somewhere. Haley chose a nightgown and left the rest until morning. Gina and I also slipped into nightgowns. I was back in the green one from the first night we spent together as it was the only one clean. We ate a light dinner and watched a little television before heading for bed. It should have felt strange having both girls in our bed, I mean before they were strange beds, this one was Gina and mine, but it felt fine. They were happy, I was happy. Sunday. We woke up without anyone holding anything of anyone else's. I went to shower and the girls went to fix up some breakfast. When I came out, I found a pair of red satin and lace panties, my leather skirt that I didn't get to wear on the trip and a blouse laying on the bed. I can take a hint, but I wondered about it since I was going to be driving Haley back to her car. I put on the clothes. "Good morning," Haley called to me when I came to the dining table. "Morning," I answered. I'm not planning on wearing this to drive Haley back to her car. "Of course not," Gina answered. "She's going to get her car tomorrow when we go to work. We've been talking and decided since we are all heading that way tomorrow there is no need to rush." I see. I took a bite of my waffle. "And I am in this skirt because?" "Well, I wanted to see you in it," Gina replied. "It was hanging in the closet all week and you never wore it. Plus, the panties are one of my favorites." "Okay, I don't mind, they are one of my favorites too," I answered. "Now I want to have a serious conversation," Gina started. I looked at Haley, who also looked to me. Neither of us knew what was coming. "What would you think of making this setup permanent?" she asked and took a bite of her breakfast. When we didn't answer right away she went on. "Look, I like this setup. I think if Haley would like she should move in here with us. I just feel like we all belong together." I wasn't sure what to say. The idea felt good, but I had a relationship started with Gina, this might put a lot of pressure on us. "What about sex?" Haley asked. "You two are going to want to be having sex. I'm thrilled that you asked me to stay the weekend, but I would think you'd be itching to get some wild sex going." "Well, I've been thinking about that too." Gina nodded. "Remember when we watched The Big Chill and Glenn Close gave her husband to her friend because she needed him? Well, I know you aren't trying to get pregnant, but I'd be okay if you wanted to have sex sometimes, as long as I got to as well." Wait, I interrupted. "I thought we were building something together here. Are you saying you don't want to work towards something permanent, marriage?" "That's not what I'm saying at all." Gina smiled. "I feel like we will be married one day, probably not too far in the future. And Haley may still be sharing our bed when we do. Or maybe she will find someone that she wants all to herself and leaves us to be with that person. We'll always be friends, but things will change. I can live with that, but I want it to be all it can be now." "What's it supposed to be like?" Haley asked. "Hey, Gina, I am really wanting some Dan right now. Do you mind? You could ask," she smiled, "or you could just let him know you are interested like yesterday morning. He can answer for himself if he wants to or not. I can either get up when I realize what you need, or maybe I'll stay. You have the same option when I want to be with him." "You want to watch?" I asked. "Maybe." She finished her breakfast and took her plate to the sink. "I don't know. In my mind I can see you two having sex and it looks like a beautiful thing. I imagine we look beautiful when we do. Maybe she'd stay or maybe she wouldn't be comfortable. That's up to her." "Okay." Haley put her hands up. "First, the idea of us living together sounds amazing to me. I know I wasn't looking forward to going home alone. Second, I'm not sure about the sex thing, but I think we can work something out. My lease isn't up for 3 months. How about next Saturday I bring some of my things over and we can try it? If after a while it isn't too much of a problem, we can make it permanent, otherwise it is easy for me to go back to my own place." I think that plan makes a lot of sense, Gina agreed. I got up to take my dishes to the sink, still trying to process everything. He looks good in that skirt, doesn't he? Gina pressed Haley. Yes, she agreed. Those long legs look really great. I wish I had longer legs. When I got to the sink, Gina laid the palm of her hand against the front of my skirt. I think you two should go back to bed. What? I nearly dropped the plate. I don't think, Haley stammered. Look, if you two go to bed now, Gina explained, and we spend the day together, and we are working all week, then the strangest part will be over. Otherwise, Haley, you might talk yourself out of this worrying about this particular thing. Get this out of the way and the rest will be easy. I don't know. I stepped away from Gina and tried to adjust my skirt to lessen the bulge. I went and sat on the couch. Okay, Gina answered. I won't press, I just thought it might be a good way to release any doubts. Haley was still in her nightgown. She took her plate to the sink and sat in a chair to my left. Gina sat on the couch with me. She turned on the television and started watching some show on HGTV. I couldn't resist looking back at Haley. I wondered what she was truly thinking about this. I was confused. I didn't want to cheat on Gina, but she was setting it all up. Was I just helping a friend? Was I making Gina happy by doing it? Were we destined to be a throuple? Okay, this is driving me nuts. Haley suddenly blurted. She turned to face us. Are you serious, Gina? Or is this just some weird test to see if we would cheat on you? I am dead serious, Gina answered. I think I started imagining what it could be like after our Monday shopping trip and reflecting back on that movie. Could I share Dan if it meant keeping us all together? I knew I wanted to suggest it after we had dinner at that Italian restaurant. When I found you holding his dick Saturday morning and it didn't bother me, I knew I had to bring it up and see if you both would be willing. That was an accident, I was asleep, Haley sighed. I know, it wasn't that you did it, it was that I was okay with it. Gina laid her hand on my thigh. Do you want to go to the bedroom? Haley looked at me. Yes. I was shocked. I didn't expect her to agree to it. Now I had to decide if I was ready to do this. I looked at Gina. This is really what you want? Gina nodded. I think I am going to find so much happiness in this setup. I swallowed and looked back to Haley. I'm willing if you are. Haley looked back at Gina, then me and nodded. Listen, Gina, one thing. This isn't going to be just to get it over with. I really care for Dan a lot and I hope this is as special to me as you have described it. I hope so, too, Gina answered with a smile. Now, go on. We both stood up and went to the bedroom. I unzipped my skirt and tossed it on a chair. Wait. She stepped up and felt me through the panties. Gina said this was the best feeling, and that these panties were both your favorites. My, this does feel nice. An hour later we were lying on the bed side by side totally naked. The bedroom door opened and Gina came in. She laid down on the bed beside me and rested her head on my shoulder. How's everyone feeling? She stroked my thigh. Amazing. Haley sighed. I told you, he's a caring lover. Gina sighed and hugged me. I just had to share him with you. I hope you will still want to come live with us. Haley rolled toward me and put her head on my other shoulder. She draped her leg over mine and took Gina's hand. I can't believe you would do that. I'm glad you did. I'm looking forward to Saturday when I start bringing my things over. Dan, you okay? Gina asked. I can't believe I am laying here naked, with me and my girlfriend's best friend who is also naked. I shook my head. Like the kisses, the sex is different. Still wonderful but different. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I love you both so much. Gina sat up and pulled off her nightgown. There, now we are all naked. Is that better? Couldn't ask for anything more, I answered. Oh, one rule, Gina told us, when we come to bed, we all wear our nightgowns. We agreed and lay there for a while until we decided we needed to get up and do some things. I slipped back into my skirt and blouse, and of course my panties. The girls both got dressed and we went about the day. Tuesday, 3 months later. I pulled back the shower curtain and Haley was standing with her back to me in a bra and thong. She was zipping Gina's dress for her. She turned back around and handed me a towel. Better get a move on, we'll be late for work. Haley turned back to the mirror to finish doing her makeup. I'll be ready, I promised and grabbed up a pair of panties and slipped them on. I stood at the other sink and proceeded to shave and brush out my hair, the usual morning stuff. Too bad you can't wear that leather skirt to work, Haley told me as she finished up. I do like seeing you in that. Her cell phone squawked. Oh, hey Gina. Gina walked back in. My friend with the ocean cabin says it is available Thursday of next week through Monday. We interested? I believe I can work it out. She came to me and kissed me good morning. I might have to bring my laptop, I answered, but should be able to do it. Want to text Sheila to expect us for dress shopping? I think I will do that, and I might see if she'd like to join us for dinner, Gina answered. You want to add another to our group? I asked. No, Gina answered, just a nice dinner guest. We add anyone else and this isn't what it is. I feel the same way, Haley affirmed. Good, because I believe that same thing, I answered and gave both a good kiss good morning. Oh, wait, isn't next weekend when we have to clean out Haley's apartment? I've got the storage arranged already. Haley slipped a dress on. We've been putting it off for a month since we've decided this is permanent, we just need to get over there and get it done. Let's finish it this weekend. I don't want to miss out on a chance to get away for a long weekend. Okay, you're right, I answered. This weekend. By the way, it won't be too long before we have so many semi-formal dresses that they won't fit in that closet we are using if we keep buying new dresses every time we go away. I've had a couple thoughts on that, Gina answered. First, is that there are lots of women that can't afford nice dresses like those and there are charities that help them out. We can always donate some when we feel there are too many. That sounds like a wonderful idea, Haley agreed. When I was just getting started, I bought a dress from one of those places. They would be thrilled, especially since we are 3 different sizes. Great, she went on, and secondly, I think we should look for a different house. This is a great house for me, and even with 2, but the master bed and bath are just too small and so are the closets. I don't want Haley to have to keep running to another room for things. You both moved in with me, but I think we need our place. I'm good with that, I told her. We should be able to find a good place that we all like. Yeah, me too, Haley answered. Maybe I'll be able to get some more of my things out of storage. Okay, I hugged them. How about we start looking around after we get back from the beach? Sounds good. Now, finish getting dressed, Gina told me, or we'll be late for work. Again.